but the supernatural sperm that comes in your being and makes you sons and daughters of the kingdom, so that now what you get, the promise is to get a new sperm implant so that you can become the true sons of God. Wow. Are you there? All right, let's wind this up because I want to pray. I desire to see you, Romans 1:11 again, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift. So we can have this fellowship with one another. What is it? First, the spiritual gift of wisdom. Brethren, sisters, I'm talking to leaders now. We have to be what we preach. That's the word of wisdom. God is more impressed with your character than your abilities. Let's stop sharpening our knives and trying to impress one another. Let's get back to being what we say we are. You see, it's too much proclamation in this country and not enough impartation. You know, you have to look around. Does anybody really want to be like me? You're not in isolation. Jesus was not in isolation. He grabbed a group of men around him that he can do an impartation to, because the word must continue. What's in me has got to be taken out. See, it comes this way first, and then it goes out this way. It has to come in the world, and then it must be distributed in the world. There's a lot that God is trying to plant in that he wants to get out. But it remains with the one who gets planted in, because nobody wants to receive what he has to give out. That's why Elijah, when Elijah was ready to go, he had Elijah to give a double anointing to. But yet when Elisha was ready to go, he had a weak king who he tried to get a shoot an arrow to show that he was going to get a transference, and he couldn't even shoot the arrow right. So Elisha dies with an anointing in him that needed to be imparted, but never got imparted because he didn't have any recipients to receive what God had put in him. I know you're so impressed with that. You say, I'm in my spirit of impartation because I've got to transfer this what God has put in me onto you. But I can't do it if you don't want to receive it. So hear it, because I have this terrible nightmare of being a body that's in the grave like Elijah, that somebody can throw in dead bones 15 years later and raise up the dead from my bones of an anointing that should have been transferred to a son. What you don't understand about that illustration is that it was a waste of an anointing. Too long. Let me show you. Hold my hand, hold his hand, and hold his hand. That's what transference is. You got to transfer the power. The transference has to occur to the right hand. It is the hand of power. So we must transfer, implant, and we got to be careful what we transfer to. Because what we're trying to transfer is generational blessings from one generation to the other. I shared with somebody I was sharing intimately with a couple weeks ago. The problem is, I understand I'm way ahead of my time. So I understand that there are going to be probably two or three generations down who's going to appreciate what I'm doing tonight. Because all of us get so excited about Jesus, because that's what he was. He was really appreciated after he was gone. That's when the bulk of the recipients that followed him after he left. And we said, oh, if I could have been there with walking Galilee and been on the side of the Jordan River with Jesus, if I could have just walked and talked with Jesus, you'd been confused like everybody else. The disciples didn't get it. Matthew 13 is very indicating all the things of the kingdom. They came to him privately saying, Lord, what did you mean? Jesus said it hadn't been given unto them to understand the mysteries, but it's been given unto you. And you're only going to get this in private time. not in public time. Which means you got to come and sit at my feet and talk to me privately and spend some time so I can impart. Because on that, you're going to get the public presentation here, but you get the private presentation in the closet. It's all right, baby. All right, let me finish. 3 points. 3 points I want to leave you. 3 points is so important. The right word will release the right anointing. I guess in saying that, I got to explain to you that there are 3 anointings. There's an anointing of the leader. There's an anointing of the house. And there is an anointing on the product. What in the world? There's an anointing on the leader. He gives him an impartation of the promise so that he can be a commander and not a demander. Because it takes the leader to lead this first. He has to be the one to command and not demand. There is an anointing in the house because there must be worshipers who are releasing the atmosphere with music and praise that is pleasing to God and not is just tickling to our ears. And when we do that, we're releasing something in the presence of God. There must be an anointing on the product. See, the product is that we got to get back to, Elliot said it earlier, Pastor, when do we get back to saving souls again? And not building our input. There is not an emphasis on salvation now. There's an emphasis on healing, but there's no emphasis on people getting saved. How often did we see people get saved? When I was coming up, people just get saved every week. We should count the souls coming in the kingdom. Now all we're doing is counting the ones who's prosperous. I need you to be prosperous so you can give. And I can buy 3, 4 suits and look good. But where are the souls? Where's the hunger for the souls? That's the product. It's got to be anointing on the product of real souls coming in. We got to get back to soul saving. I mean, getting back to real soul saving. And you notice I haven't taken the offering yet. That's because I'm not worried about the offering. I'm worried about the product. Product is really to get this impartation in you so you can get everything that God wants you to get. You need to get the impartation of understanding that the product is, the real product is to go out and bring souls into the kingdom. Because here we are. We're using a lot of people in our church who have abilities but are not spirit-filled. Just so that we can keep the activities going, we're not using spirit-filled musicians. They're talented, but they're not spirit-filled. We're not using spirit-filled worshipers. They're talented, but they're not spirit-filled. And so the church has become a talent pool of X factors, of the next great voice, because once everybody make it here, then they can go make it out there. Because this become the talent ground. Because once you release them here to do something, now they think they need to go make a record and become. Because we become talented, but we're losing the anointing just so we can have what we think we need. We're using talented people, but not spirit-filled people. And you try not to worry about messing up the talent people because you might lose a piece of the church. You better learn how to sing a cappella. Better learn how to preach without hearing an organ tune up. Put them at the altar and get them spirit-filled. And then you don't have to worry about them. Because they won't be sitting at your office door every Sunday knocking on there, where my paycheck? Is it all right, Pastor Thorpe? All right. Number two.